a pleasure to welcome to the podcast. It's Navy's starting goalie, Jo Torres. Jo, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Pleasure to have you on. I always start with the story of when you first jumped into goal. Do you remember that?
I was in fourth grade on the my county's Parks and Recreation team. And I still remember my coach, Coach Taylor, he at halftime, he was like, does anyone want to go in? And none of the girls, we all looked at each other and everyone was like, yeah, no, I don't want to go in. Like, cause usually his daughter was the one to like play in goal and she didn't like it anymore. So I raised my hand. I was like, Coach, I'll do it. And I remember my first game, I had 3 saves and I was never scared of the ball. And it just kind of like came natural and I like stuck with it.
Never scared of the ball. Wow. You were one of the crazy ones, Jo.
I was crazy.
I mean, what was it about the position though that led you to raise your hand?
I think like at a young age, like seeing like all the equipment and stuff in the helmet, like you want to put it on and like you feel cool. We had like the big, like, I don't know, I guess was in like 2009, the big shin guards. You just like, you felt cool, like seeing all the gear and stuff. And that attracted me to it. And I went in there and I remember I had 3 saves that game in that half. And I stuck with it ever since. My parents were like, if you want to do this, we can do it. And they bought me the gear. And my dad, he taught me pretty much everything. He's never played lacrosse before, but he kind of taught me like the fundamentals of like how to save a ball. And we would sit in the front yard for hours and he would just throw them at me and throw them. He like didn't know how to use a stick. He would just throw them at me. And we watched YouTube videos. And then I watched Meg Taylor growing up a lot. And that's kind of what stuck with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to ask about your dad because, you know, with the growth of the sport of lacrosse, which is so tremendous, you have a lot of situations, you know, like your dad, like a lot of goalie dads, goalie moms out there in the situation that your dad is in, where it's like, great, my daughter's the goalie. I never even played. Like, I have no idea what the sport is about. So how did he go about, you know, 1, learning lacrosse, and then 2, learning like, how do I train my daughter?
I think like the hardest part for us was how big the stick was and how like you had to like, because in order to be a goalie, you have to be comfortable with your stick. You can save with all your body, but like being comfortable with your stick, that was where we attacked the problem at first. Like we learned how to catch, we learned how to throw, because like goalie, the sticks are different from field like sticks. Yeah. So we focused on like how to play with the big stick. And then after that, main focus was he always used to say this, he was like, don't let the ball touch the back of the neck, like do everything to not let the ball in the net. And that was just like our mindset going through. So like I would throw my arm out, I would throw my stick, like I would try everything. And that was like our like mindset was do not let the ball in the back of the net. And we kind of went from there.
It's a pretty good mindset. Do you still live by that mentality?
Yes, I still live by that.
Yeah. It's like do everything that you can. All right. Well, that's awesome. And then you mentioned watching Meg play. So you grew up in the Baltimore area, Maryland area.
Yeah, I grew up in Southern Maryland, and lacrosse really wasn't that popular up there. But when I switched to club, I played on Maryland United, and so like all the practice would be up in Annapolis and stuff in like this area. And I pretty much watched everything that she did and try to learn from her. And then I was fortunate enough to play under her. My first year at Navy plebe year, she was our goalie coach and our defensive coach.
That's right. Yeah. What a dream come true. Do you think going back to that first game, do you think if you had let in all of the goals, it'd be a different story? Like you made 3 saves, right? And that was kind of like, sometimes it is that first save where you're like, man, I love it. And that was my experience as well, where I made 2 saves in my very first game. I didn't even like move to make the saves. They just hit me in the face and one hit me in the leg, but I was hooked because I was like, wow, what a great response from the team. I'm curious, do you think if you had not made those saves, it'd be different?
I think it would have, because people don't understand, like when you make a save, that feeling that you get for like 5 seconds, you're like, whew, I can take a deep breath. Like you hear your fans, you hear your teammates cheering. So I don't think I probably would have stuck with it if I didn't have any saves.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, you and I were lucky to get some early saves, and I'm going to encourage anyone listening to this to stick with it, even if you don't make the saves. But sometimes it is those early ones that set in motion this whole lacrosse goalie thing. Well, that's awesome. So, you know, everyone kind of plays a little bit of a different style in goal, Joe. How do you describe, like, I don't know, the Jo Torres style?
I would say I use my hands to my advantage because I know like my feet aren't as fast. So like progressing, like going from club to college, I really focused on like my hand speed and getting that there. Because when I would go to like goalie coaches and I would go to camps and clinics, everyone would be like, "Oh, like your hands are so quick," and I never realized that. I was just like, "I'm just moving." Like I didn't really see what the big deal was. So then I started juggling a lot more, getting better at my hand eye, and I stuck with my hand. So I would say like pretty much I don't really make a lot of body saves. It's kind of more like my stick and just getting my hands to the ball first, and then my whole body will follow behind.
Mm-hmm. How did you, I mean, you mentioned juggling, but you also said like I had really quick hands,
Mhm.
just to begin with. Like what do you think that comes from?
I think when I was little, when I first started playing, I was a field player, and I've always like focused on like stick skills. So I think like developing good stick skills at first and like learning how to catch and learning how to throw, and then you get the reflexes in there, they
Mhm.
kind of all mesh together. And that's like, and then I started like focusing specifically on my hands, and then moved into now college with it. And I feel like that's one of my biggest strengths, like in goal, is my hands.
Yeah. Awesome. For me, it was, I mean, I didn't play lacrosse growing up, so it was a lot of other sports. A lot of like reaction sports. Like I played infielder in baseball, and I think a lot of like, I think there's a lot of similarities when it comes to being an infielder and being a lacrosse goalie, because you're sort of like being prepared for a quick grounder off the bat and then kind of deciding, do I need to go left? Do I need to go right? And getting your hands there. There's a lot of similarities in other sports. Did you play any other sports growing up?
I played softball in middle school. That was a hard because that was in the same season as lacrosse. So when I got to high school, I had to pick which one I wanted to do, and it was pretty hard. It was hard to give up softball for like I thought about it for a while. My parents were like, Joe, like, you can always pick. You can't do both. So I stuck with lacrosse. I played lacrosse longer, but softball was my other one that I used to play, and volleyball. I played volleyball all throughout high school.
Yeah. And you had to make that decision because they were the same season?
Mm-hmm. It
Yeah.
was. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And what goes into that decision? Like take me back to that time, because I'm sure a lot of kids, maybe it's not between lacrosse and softball, but a lot of kids have to make that decision at a certain point.
I think what you enjoy doing the most, like going out there and like my teammates in lacrosse, like growing up, like I've always been on great teams, like great girls, great coaches. So for me, it was more like what sport that I had the most fun playing.
Mm.
And my friends, like all my friends played lacrosse. I went to school with all of them. So that kind of really made me lean towards more lacrosse in high school.
Yeah, that's smart. It's easy. What do you enjoy playing the most?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, aren't we playing for the love of the game and to enjoy? And when you have that, like,
Mhm.
um, you play better. And so I think that's really smart. I would say that like the only bad answer is like the one I'm better at. I don't know, because you don't want to do something just because you're good at it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that helps. And sometimes people who are good at things, like it helps create the joy. But if you're only doing it because people say you're good at it, like you're not going to have success, I think. What do you think?
I think it's all about having fun, like where you feel like you are being yourself and going out there and playing like because a lot of people when they get into I'm I'm only playing because I'm good at it, like they lack the whole being part of the team.
Mhm.
And I think being a part of the team and loving your teammates and loving your coaches and going out there and playing for everyone to the left and right of you, like that's what makes it the best sport. And I feel like I learned a lot when I got to Navy because Navy is all about being in a team. Like take lacrosse out because lacrosse actually comes last at Navy. It's military school lacrosse. And going like I remember reporting for Navy the first day I got there. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, Joe, what are you getting yourself into? I remember getting out the car, I'm getting yelled at. They're telling me to tuck my shirt in. And I got up there and I met people. I was in 12th company when I first got there. Didn't know anyone. They were all from around the world. I had one of my roommates was from the Philippines. Like everyone comes from all around the world in the country, and they're your teammates. If you like it or not, they are going to be there to like pick you up and get you through this. Like I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad experience, but like get you through all the hard times. And I feel like that brings in lacrosse too, is like everything is a team. And I realized that a lot more when I got to Navy, that everything you do, you can't accomplish everything by yourself. You need to like have people to left and right of you that would be there to pick you up. So
100% agree. 100% agree. Well, I'd love to talk more about your experience at Navy, but let's back up a little bit before we get there. So, you have some success in high school, I imagine. Are you 100% goalie? Like, take me through your high school career and kind of, how that worked for you and when you first envisioned like, hey, I could play this at the next level.
So I went to like a small private school down in Southern Maryland where I'm from for a couple years. And I transferred to St. Mary's in Annapolis because a bunch of the girls I played club with, they went to that school. They're like, hey, why don't you just shadow one day? And I shadowed and I ended up loving it. And it was probably sophomore year because we still had that rule where they could recruit you before junior year. But then right when I got to St. Mary's, they like made that rule that you had to only be contacted on September 1st. So going into junior year, that's when I really started to get offers from colleges and like really think about like if I wanted to play at the next level. And since the military academies, they could reach out to you before the other colleges, I think I got contacted in June or July by Navy, and that set me, and I was like, I'm going.
Can they still do that?
I think so. I think military academies can reach out way before civilian colleges.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Jo, you learn something new every day. So yeah, I was excited to talk to you because they recently made that rule change. So now it's September 1st, your junior year. That's when coaches can officially, start interacting with you. Before, it's sort of like a one-sided communication where you can like send them things, but they can't respond, right? So did you do that? Did you send any clips out, or is it no, just the military academy started contacting you and that was kind of your first taste of recruiting?
Yeah, I would say I went to a lot of camps and clinics with my sister. She went to Navy. So every clinic and camp that she did, I was right there with her. So the only college I really got exposed to, like in the beginning, was Navy. And right when they could contact me and I could speak back to them, I was set. I didn't really think about any other college after that.
Interesting. What was it about the Naval Academy that you enjoyed so much?
I just think being a part of something bigger than yourself, like not like you really get put into perspective and giving back to like this country and like watching people go through what they go through and like leading other people, like that really drove me to the academy. And I was like, I want to do that. So I did it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. And thank you very much for your service to our country. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Was Meg Taylor there at the time, or you committed to the Naval Academy and then what a pleasant surprise, I get one of the best goalie coaches, one of the best goalies at all time kind of coaching me up?
She was there the year before I got there, the year before my plebe year. She was already there. And when I got there, she was there. And I was just like, wow, like I get to see her in person. Like, this is crazy. Cause like I used to just watch her on TV playing against Maryland. She would kill every game. And then getting to learn from her and like her advice and stuff. And like the way she approaches things, like with me, I was a plebe. And it was more of like the mental part for me because you come into a new team, you're a freshman, everyone's looking at you, they're giving you chances and stuff. So Coach Meg really helped me with like the mental side of being a goalie and just knowing that the next save is the most important save. You just got to move on and do everything you can to save the ball. And that was like her approach. And I got a lot of advice on like the mental part about being a goalie instead of the actual like fundamental.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what you learned from her the most, and it sounds like it is those mental discussions. How and by the way, plebe for the non-military, plebe freshman year. That's what that means, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we were talking about Meg, and I wanted to know the mental lessons she taught you and like kind of how that played out.
Meg taught me this is a saying I always say too, is the next save is the most important save. Like, don't dwell on the past. Like, you can't do anything. You can't go up to the scoreboard and change the score. It's what you do next to save the ball. And with her, I was like being a freshman and like I was getting playing time. I kind of lost a little confidence a little bit. Like when I would let the balls in or like the team would be like, come on, Joe, you could have saved that. And Coach Meg, she was always like, the next save is the most important save. And so my mindset, like going into every game now, I'm like, I want to be the first goalie to make the save of the game because that really sets your pace. Because once you get on a roll, it's kind of hard to break you, but it's the hardest part is to get on that roll. So that's what Meg she pretty much taught me what the mental part of it.
Yeah, that next save is the most important save. It's such an important lesson, and it's one that I was writing about as I watched the women's national championship, and more specifically the semifinal, right? So I don't know if you watched any of those games, but in the semifinal, like Taylor Moreno from North Carolina, horrible game, right? Not seeing the ball. She ends up getting pulled, right, for the third quarter. And then she goes back in and makes the save of the game with 10 seconds left, like makes that last save and they win, right? And then they go on to win the national championship. And like the lesson there is like sometimes the next save isn't, it doesn't matter what's happened before, right? Sometimes your team just needs you for that final save.
Yeah, I would say, like my dad would always say, like your job is not to save every single ball. It's just to put your team an opportunity to win. And I feel like Taylor Moreno really did that. She got pulled, she did a little mental reset, and she got back in and she won that game for them. So I think it's all about like the little resets and like telling yourself just the next one. Like, let me put my team in a position to win the game. And that's what she did.
Yeah. How do you do that reset? What is it for you?
Usually with me, if the other team is going on like a scoring run, it's just like, scooping the ball at the net and just making a lap around the goal. And once I come back and I set myself in the goal, it's like, okay, now like I'm over it. I erased it. It's time to move on. And talking more to the defense. Because when I talk more, I'm not really focused on what happened in the past. Like just communicating with my defense, telling them like what's going on, like talking extra more than I would. That really like focused me on like the game, like in the present time instead of worrying about what just happened. So that really helps me.
Yeah, I like that. I always encourage goalies to have some sort of routine when the wheels come off the wagon, or even when you give up a goal, and sort of like go through that routine every single time. And it can be just a deep breath. It could be a walk around the goal like yours is. It could be like, all right, now's the time. You say to yourself, now's the time I pump it up and start communicating with my team a little more. Whatever it is, like just have that prepared. Go through a goal, just go through it automatically. You don't even have to think about it. It helps so much with the mental game, I think.
It does.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So you mentioned Meg's, her main coaching was the mental game, but did she work on you any with the techniques? I mean, did she, I mean, obviously you guys are training and taking shots and working, but I'm curious if there's any like technique element where she's like, hey, Joe, why don't you try doing this?
My like when Meg was still on the coach, like plebe year, my biggest weakness was the low shots. So Meg really focused in on like getting your stick on the ground, like moving your top hand first, and then your body will follow. So that's what she pretty much worked on. But I loved Meg because she never tried to change our style, like at all. Like, and a lot of coaches or like a lot of goalie coaches that I've been to, or like clamps or clinics, they try to change your style. And that's what makes us unique, is that not every goalie is the same. And so that was one thing that I really appreciated from Meg. She never tried to change any of our styles. And she really just tried to bring out our strengths. So she used my quick hands and she taught me through my quick hands how I could make the save and like the steps to make it, but she never tried to change any of our techniques.
That's good. That's good. That's also what I preach and what I coach as well. It's like, I'm not going to remake you. I'm going to show you some things, right? I'm going to show you like, hey, maybe try this. If you like it, like adopt it. If you don't like it and you don't want to use it, I'm totally fine with that as well. And I think that more goalie coaches should be like that, because once you get into this my way or the highway, like you're sort of discarding the fact that goalies are different, right? And somebody who's, I don't know, 5'5" or 5'6" is going to play different than someone who's 6 foot. So you got to take every goalie's uniqueness into consideration.
Sure.
Like she did that. That's awesome. So did you end up getting some starts your freshman year?
I did.
Amazing. How was that? As such a young member of the team being thrust into this, into this leadership position, into this starting position. How was that for you?
I was really nervous.
Mhm.
Because it was, I don't really know. I felt like, because my sister was on the team and she was a junior at this time, and I had no idea. The first game I ever played in was against Army, and Army is like
Big
who, like
Bible.
no one cares. No one cares about the record or your guys' records. It's like whoever wins that star game, and they put me in second half, and I kind of went in there and I was like, whatever happens, happens, Joe. Like just go out there, and I stuck with that, and ended up playing decent. We won, and yeah, that was a great day. I was very shocked because I got cleared like 3 days before that game. Like I only practiced for a day, so I didn't think that they would ever even look at me to put me in. And then Coach Cindy, she was like, "Get in there." I was like, "Me? Are you sure?" And yeah, that was a great day.
Yeah. So at halftime, she comes up to you and she says, "Joe, you're going in the second half." What are you feeling?
I was very, very nervous. I looked at my sister and I was like, Jade, I'm so scared. Like, what do I do? She was like, because my sister is kind of like my parents combined on the sidelines, like going through like the academy and stuff. Like every time I had a problem, I'd go to her. So I looked at her and I was like, Jade, what do I do? And she's like, Joe, you know how to play this position. You've been playing this position since you were 5. Like, you know what to do. And that really, like, she gave me the confidence to get out there. And the whole time I went out there, I was like, whatever happens, happens. Just play your game. And that's what I did.
Smart. It's awesome
Mhm.
advice. What do you recommend to someone who doesn't have a sister on the team, a young girl? I don't know, maybe she's in a similar situation. She's playing high school, she's playing competitive club, and the coach says, "Hey, you're in there." What do you
Uh,
recommend?
I would say go to the other goalies. Like every team I've been on, me and the goalies have been best friends. And especially at Navy, Emma and Ann, they are my 2 best friends. We do everything together. And before we go out to warm up, we all look at each other like anyone can play in this game. There's no starter or not. Like anyone can play. And I'd say like being close with the other goalies, like they help you too. Like before every game, Emma is always like, remember your hand speed. Like she always reminds me. And then when Emma went in during the Hopkins game this season, I was like, Emma, you got this. Like we've been practicing for months. Like you know what you're doing. And so I would say like finding like those trusted teammates on the team that will motivate you and give you the confidence that you need to play. So I would say the other goalies.
I love that. That's so smart. Yeah. And sometimes like, that little pep talk is all you need, because the human mind is so fascinating. It's like you do so well and you have so many great games, and then you go to the championship game or a really important game, and then all of a sudden, like, here comes the doubt, right? Like, I'm going to the championship game, I'm really nervous, and I'm like, I tell these young goalies, like, you're in the championship game, like you're there for a reason, like you have had success, like don't let that doubt creep in there. But sometimes hearing it from somebody else, a teammate, another goalie, is exactly what you need, right?
It goes a long way. It
Yeah,
does.
yeah, that's amazing. All right, um, very cool. So, what does your goalie training regiment look like now? So we're filming this over the summer. It's beginning of June. Are you going to train during the summer? Let's start there.
Yeah, so I have since high school, since elementary school, I've had this goalie coach, Megan Huther. She went to Duke. I train with her a lot, and that's my go-to if I need just a reset, or if I just need to get my stick going, or I just need to do hand-eye, like I always reach out to her for help. And pretty much I just go out with one of like a teammate and I just tell them like, hey, I need to work on low shots. Like, can you shoot here for a little bit? Because if you just go out there and they're just ripping it on you, it's like kind of hard to learn from that. So I usually go to Megan Huther, or I just shoot with my teammates and I tell them like what I need to work on, or like my weaknesses right now, and they help me out a lot.
Awesome. So a lot of live shots is what I'm hearing. Yeah, and I love that comment about the specificity of or being very purposeful with the shots, because you're right. You can go out and shoot for 30 minutes, and if it's all over the place, it doesn't hurt, but you get a lot more like focused training if you say, hey, let's keep them 5-hole all session, right? And then I'm just going to work on that 5-hole. And that could be the mental thing that you need too. It's just so interesting how like the physical aspect kind of leads into the mental game, where you take 500 shots and now you're like, all right, I got those low saves.
Mhm.
So, well, very cool. And then like hand-eye, do you do any like exercises, with the specific exercises with the body, or what's that training look like for you?
Usually I focus on juggling, just the 3 balls, like doing that for like 5 minutes straight, and then partner juggling with someone else. So, uh, me and the other goalies, like we'll get like in a triangle and we'll partner juggle together,
Hmm.
or we'll just do like the easy, like no stick, just gloves, and you just step and punch and just get your hands like used to it. So I really like juggling though. That really gets like my eyes focused, it gets my hands warm. So I normally go to juggling if I need like a good reset.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all goalies should learn how to juggle. I had it at one point. I need to do some more juggling myself, but my lacrosse goalie career is very much over, just coaching now. But I can't say you need to juggle and then not be able to do it very well myself. You know what I mean?
I do.
So, all right, you've inspired me to get back out there and start juggling again, Joe.
It's fun. I like it.
There you go. All right. I would love to know if there was ever a time in your goalie career where you went through a slump, and if there is, how did you get out of that? What did you do?
Yes, I actually went through a slump this year. It was right after we played Hopkins, and my confidence just went down. I got pulled from that game, and I got pulled in the first quarter, and I was like, wow, like I just played like so bad. I just kept on dwelling on the fact that I just let all these goals in. I had no saves, and I actually went to go see our sports psychologist at school for help because I was in the slump. Like at practice, I was scared of the ball. Like I couldn't like get over like what happened in one of the games. So I started. My first step was to take shots with tennis balls, so I can just see it and just react to it. And after I talked to a sports psychologist for a while, I got more comfortable with like real balls. But for a good couple practices, I just had my teammates shoot on me with tennis balls just to get my reaction time. So like I can really see the yellow ball and really just focus. I wouldn't talk in goal. I wouldn't talk to the defense. I would just strictly look at the ball. And that really helped me a lot, just focusing on the ball. Like you don't have to talk to the defenders and just like stuff like that. Just really focusing on the ball.
Go back to basics, right?
Mhm.
Like break it all down, build it all back up. That helps tremendously. I'd love to hear more about what the sports psychologist said. Was that one of his recommendations, or like you go in his office and you're like his or her office and you say, I can't see the ball. Help me out. What did they tell you?
Uh, he was basically just like he asked me, he was like, why do you feel this way? Like, why are you in the slump? And I was like, because I played so bad. And that's when he stopped me. He was like, it's not about you. Like, it's about the team. Like, did you win the game? And I was like, yes, we did. He was like, well, then what's going on? And I was like, I just feel like I'm lacking confidence in my own skills. And that's when we talked about like my whole lacrosse history since I've been playing since I was 5. Like I've never like been in like, because I mean goalies do go through slumps, but this one was I've never been through a slump like this. And he was just like, basically he told me, he was like, bring it back to the fundamentals, like what you did to like make you better. So that's when I started with the tennis balls. I didn't communicate on defense. I just strictly looked at that ball the entire practice. And that really got me focused back into like just the ball and just reacting to it.
Yeah, that's a great tip as well, is that sometimes lacrosse goalies try and do too much, right? And let me put it this way: the best goalies can make the saves and communicate with the defense. That's right. But if you can't communicate with the defense and make the saves, focus on making the saves, because other people can help you with that communication, but they can't help you with those saves. And so, sometimes I do tell young goalies that let's focus on the saves first, and then when you feel more comfortable, then we can start doing more communication. So are you a real loud, like, would you call yourself a real loud vocal goalie, or what's sort of your style out there?
It's actually pretty funny. I never liked to talk because sometimes I didn't know what to say. So I really didn't start talking to the defense until I got into high school, because my coach made me, like, Coach Mindy was like, you need to talk to them. Like, I don't care what you say, like, keep saying that your name is Joe, but you need to talk to them. So Junior year of high school, that's when I actually really started taking advantage of talking to the defense, because I was always scared, because I wouldn't say I was scared, but I was like not as confident like what I would say. Like I was scared I was going to say the wrong thing, or I was going to call the crash too late. But then I really started practicing like talking to them, and just like it helps a lot just telling them where the ball is, and like who cares if the crash is too early or too late, at least like they're crashing. So I really focused on that, but I'm not really a loud talker at
No,
all. No.
love it. That's awesome. Yeah, and that's a good tip you just mentioned too. Like if you don't know where to start, like the easiest way is just call out the ball position on the field, right? From there, you can start to call out the slides and kind of help, manage the defense that way. And then from there, you can help the on-ball defender in terms of, because you have this unique point of view as a goalie. You can see whether they're like too high or too low, or like, hey, take a step left, 2 steps right. Okay, good. So anyway, just some tips on communication there. But interesting to hear. So yeah, and you don't have to be the loudest. Like I certainly wasn't the loudest out there, or the best communicator, but if you can bring that into your game, I think it helps a ton.
It does.
Cool. So then that sports psychologist, like how many games did it take you to get you out of that slump? Like when did you start to feel like, all right, I'm back. Joe is back.
I remember we played Hopkins, and it was the game before we had spring break, and we were off for 9 days. So I had 9 days to really get it together, get a grip, and really like focus on just the fundamentals. And then we played Bucknell that Saturday during spring break, and that's when it came back. Like I just went out there confident, like I always, like I didn't really change any routines. I just went out there confident and really focused on the ball, and I came back, and I haven't been in a slump since. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. That's right. I will knock on wood myself. Well, I hate to break it to you. I think you'll be in a slump again, because it just happens to us goalies. Like that's the way it is. And so having a good strategy to get through that slump, and it sounds like you do, and you've got access to that sports psychologist. What a treat. What a treat. How often are you taking advantage of that?
Probably once a week. Because there's a lot of other sports on the yard, and there's only one of them. So I see him at least once a week.
That's good.
And we just reset. We talk about lacrosse, talk about how it's going, how practices are going, how I'm feeling in goal, and just like the little things to like boost your confidence up. Because the slumps are kind of, you just lack confidence in your skills. So it's just getting back into like that mindset that I am good and I do have skills. I just need to be more confident in them.
Yeah. I was going to ask you other lessons that he taught you. That sounds like it's one. It's kind of being confident in your skills. How does a young goalie do that?
I would say take everything that you've learned and just like, that's what I did. I went out in the front yard with my dad when I was 5, and he was just telling me like, just don't let the ball in the back of the net. But like, as I got older and the things that I have learned, I took little bits and pieces of what I've learned, and I made like my own technique and like what works for me and what doesn't work for me, and just finding what works well and what doesn't work well for you.
One of the things that I learned is to create this like confidence reservoir where like you write down things that you're great at. And it could be like, hey, I started playing lacrosse at age 5, right? And then when you get down, like you go back and you review that, right? And it's like, I had this game against so-and-so and made some saves. I'm just all these like positive things. And when you get down, like go back and review that, because it kind of like relifts your spirits and your confidence. And you're like, oh yeah, like I do know how to do this. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Yeah. Well, Coach Cindy, she always, at the end of practice, we have to turn to someone to the right of us and tell them 3 things that they're amazing at. So I just feel like, and then we do that like in everyday life. Like when I see my teammate on the yard, we'll see each other and we just say something to each other. And I just feel like hearing something good about yourself, and like, it gives you the confidence that like, I am good and like, I am here for a reason. And I just need to be confident in myself. So Coach Cindy does a really good job on that. After every practice, we have to say 3 things that that person's great at. and why we love them.
That is beautiful. I love that so much. All right.
So I'll be walking to physics, and one of my teammates would be like, "Joe, you're just so good at goalie and saving the ball." And I was like, "Thanks, you too." Like on the way to class.
Yeah. You tell them you too, and they're like, "I'm not a goalie." And you're like, "Oh, okay." Well, I just got carried away. All right. So if you're listening to this as a parent with your goalie right there, pause it, turn to the right, tell them 3 things about what they're good at. Is that what it is? 3 things about what you're good at?
3 things that they're good at.
All right. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. All right. Now we're back. How about, you got some starts your freshman year. Awesome. How about that time that you were a backup? What's the mentality for you in terms of being a backup, and, how do you go about, it could be tough for goalies, right? Because there's only one of us. But so how do you approach that?
I just say keep working hard. And a lot of people get discouraged when they're backups or they're not playing, or there's some people that never go in games, and it's really easy to get discouraged. And with me, I just kept competing. It was a friendly competition. Me and the other goalies loved each other, but we knew that there was only one goalie out there.
Right.
So it was always a friendly competition. And I would say just always stick to competing and going to practice, and practice for us was a tryout. You just go in there and you just keep doing what you're doing and just keep competing and never give up on that spot. If you really, really, really want to play, just keep going, because it does get discouraging, but just my parents would say, Joe, just keep going. And I kept going, and it worked out.
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah. Very cool. And then what do you, with all the experience that you have now, lessons you've learned, what advice do you think you'd go back and give the young Jo Torres, maybe the high school Jo Torres?
I would say just being confident with your skills, because as you get older, the girls are getting older, the ball's getting faster, the girls are getting quicker, the shots are getting different. You're going to see a behind the back now. That's not really crazy anymore. You wouldn't see that a couple years. In high school, I never really saw behind the backs, but in college, I got a couple behind the back scored on me. And I was like, wow. But I would just say being confident and always getting better, and realizing that the sport is getting faster and stronger, and the girls are learning new tricks, new stick skills. Everyone's just getting a lot better. So just keeping up with that, and just being confident with the skills that you already have, and just improving and improving.
Yeah. Great advice. Great advice. Talk to me a little bit about attending school at the Naval Academy. I didn't go to the Naval Academy. A lot of people listening probably haven't had that experience. What is it like? Is it, in my mind, based on people I've talked to, it's very structured. But you can, confirm or deny that, and I'd love to hear, how life is at the Naval Academy.
So pretty much lacrosse is last on everyone's list at school. So it goes, the military is your first priority, academics, and then lacrosse. So I wake up every day at 7:30, and I'm in school from 7:30 to 3:30 every day. And at usually at noon, we have film or lifts. And then after 3:30, I go to practice from 3:45 to around 6. And then I have from 6 to 7, I eat dinner and I take a shower. And then from 8 on, that's just designated homework time. But the academy, it's hard. But being on a team and being friends with people around you, because I'm pretty much most of my friends, they all play sports too, and just knowing what each other's going through. And this is hard. I would always call my parents, I'm like, guys, this is hard. And they're like, Joe, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And so I would wake up every day and I'm like, yeah, if this was easy, everyone would do it. And so I would just me and my teammates, we really rely on each other a lot. Lacrosse is the best part of the day, because usually normal colleges, people only have a couple classes a day, or they're only in class for a couple hours, and we're in there from 3:30 to or 7:30 to 3:30. So it's just a very tiring schedule, but just knowing that you're not going through it alone, and that there's your teammates will be there next to you to pick you up if you need to cry, if you just need to do homework with someone, someone's always there for you. So
that's awesome. That's amazing. What I love there, and I think a lot of young, I mean, college kids could learn from it, high school kids could learn from it, even, younger than that, is just, having that structure, I think helps quite a bit in terms of like your time management. And a lot of people say, how do I juggle lacrosse and school? And it's tough. It's really tough. A lot of kids have, I know, like even myself in high school, like I was playing sports, a lot of academics, and it's just a lot of pressure. But having those blocks of like, all right, this is my school time, eat time, practice time, whatever, recreational time, I think it helped me, and I think it could help a lot of other goalies out there as well.
And like in college, there's a lot of resources. Like there's people there to help you, like learn how to study, learn how to take notes and stuff like that. So I would say like using the resources that are there for you. And like on our team, we have like an academic officer, and he keeps in charge of like our grades, and like he'll give us like study advice. And he's always like, if you take notes in green pen and then you're studying for a test, write in red pen, and like little things like that. Like there's a lot of resources in college that people don't really take advantage of, but that's their job, is to be there to help you. So I would say like if you ever have problems like managing like a sport and academics, you just always take advantage of those resources that are there for you.
That is such great advice. That is such great advice. There's so many resources. I don't care what you're like, with like the YouTube and the Instagram. I mean, especially and lacrosse goalie community being so small, like everyone will help you. So, I'll help you. I know tons of coaches who have the same mentality. I know a lot of college players. I mean, you're busy and you got time commitments, and so maybe it's not like I respond back in 5 minutes. But I mean, I'm sure, Joe, if someone sent you a message and said, "Hey, I'm struggling, like a young girl struggling with this," like you reply back, right?
I would.
Yeah, exactly. So use the resources. They're out there, and if you're having trouble with something, like use the resources. We'll just leave it at that. I love it. What was this note? What was this about? Take notes in a green pen and take the test in a red pen? Is that like some secret that the Naval Academy's figured out?
So I always had a problem with keeping organized. Like with my notes and stuff, like I was always disorganized with my notes. And so I went in there and I asked, there's like a study class that you could take at Navy that helps you with your study skills and stuff. So I asked one of the professors, I was like, how do you take notes? Is there like a little method to this? And they were like, well, you take notes before you learn the lesson, and you take it in black pen. And when you go to class the next day and you're doing that lesson again with the teacher, you take it in green pen. And then when you're studying for a test, you write it like over with red pen. So I was like, and it actually works. Like you just get focused on like, okay, green's important. This is what the teacher said. And then red is like what I'm correcting for the test. So it's just like a little organizing thing, but it actually does help.
Love it. Awesome. That's amazing. What is it like to play? You guys play at the, I don't forget what the stadium's called that you play at, but it's a real nice stadium. And I've even heard a lot of people say like that should be the venue for the national championship. But talk to me about your stadium and kind of what it's like to play there.
It's just very like honoring and humbling when you walk through. You're like, wow. Like a lot of amazing people have went through the school and they've played on this field. And it's just like inspiring, and like you want to go out there and you want to like give back and you want to play for them. So I would just say like being on that stadium and like the locker room, like there's always like above our lockers, there's like past like alumni that have donated to this place and have gone and graduated and done like great things for our country. So it's just very like honoring to be there and like play on that field and like play for them, I would say.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Got me inspired. We just we're filming. We are filming, but also recording this on June 1st, and we just had Memorial Day. I would love to hear what Memorial Day means to you. How do you celebrate it? Yeah.
I just Memorial Day is just like especially like on the yard and stuff, like big holidays like that. It's just like realizing like why you're doing this, because right now, like during plebe summer and stuff, like that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, was like going through boot camp and like getting yelled at, getting PT'd. You don't do that in everyday life. And my detailer, his name was Mike Garnett, he would always say, you got to embrace the suck. Like it's going to suck right now, but it's going to get better. And that's like what like our minds, like every like midshipman on the yard is like right now is just, you got to get through the academy. Like you have to embrace the suck, but like you're doing it for a great purpose. Like you're doing it for something that's greater than yourself. Like you're giving back. And that's what like motivates me, is like, I'm not doing this. Like I'm doing this to like give back to this country and to other people and like help people. So that's what like really like motivates us. And that's what we celebrate on Memorial Day weekend, is the people that sacrificed their lives for us and who really went out there and gave it back. And that's what we want to do. We want to give back and we want to help people. That's our ultimate goal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Embrace the suck is something I've heard before. I love it. What happens though when the suck becomes a little bit too much? Because, you know, sometimes goalies, like you see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And that's really motivating, right? You're like, all right, this is why I'm doing it. Other times, you know, metaphorically speaking, you're crawling through the mud and you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel and you're like, God, this really sucks. What's your advice for that in that situation?
I've actually asked people that too, like over Flip Summer. I was like, this is really hard, like this sucks. And then someone looked at me and they're like, everything ends. Like this feeling is not gonna last forever. And that's what really motivated me, that you might be going through a hard time right now and you might not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but this is not gonna last forever. Like you're gonna get through it, like one way or another. So I would just say, like, always realizing that this feeling is not gonna last forever.
This
really
too shall pass. This too shall pass. Yep. It's and when you're in the moment, you can't, sometimes it's so hard to see. You're like, gosh, this is gonna last gosh, this slump's gonna last forever. Like, gosh, I'm gonna be whatever. I'm gonna feel depressed forever. You know, but yeah, sometimes you just got to understand that, like, that's what you're in at the moment. And guess what? Like next week you'll be laughing about it.
Like we were doing push-ups. Felt like we were doing push-ups for 100 years. We only were doing them for 5 minutes. It lasted only 5 minutes and we got through. And I mean, I'm not doing push-ups right now. So it's just like stuff like that, just realizing that things don't last forever. It gets better. So
awesome. I love it. Well, Jo, thank you so much for coming on and sharing so many lessons. This was amazing. Now, do you coach goalies as well?
I've had a couple like goalie parents like reach out to me to do like private lessons, and I got invited to coach like BCA Elite, like a camp on the 27th to the 30th. But yeah, I like coaching goalies. It's just like it's hard to like find like the time, like with Navy, because they tell me what to do, when to do it. So it's just like finding that like balance in between. But yeah, I like coaching goalies. It's fun.
Yeah, well, me too. I'm a goalie coach, so there you go. Well, awesome. If people want to learn a little bit more about you, where should they go? Do Instagram? Is that the best spot, or
they can Instagram DM me?
Instagram. All right. I'll link up to that when this comes out. Jo, if you had to leave the goalies out there one final piece of advice, what would that be?
There's a lot. I think one piece of advice.
It could be two.
Okay.
Well, we could just do one.
First, I would say just always be confident in that the next save is the most important save. You don't have to save everything. Your job is not to go in there and save everything. It's just to put your team in a position to win. And I think that's something that young goalies and older goalies should like know, that like they beat themselves up when they let a lot of goals in. But your job is not to save every goal. Just put your team in a position to win and be successful.
And the second piece of advice?
Be confident in what you do.
Yeah.
And always have fun. Like go out there and have fun. Because if you're beating yourself up in the goal, like, I know all goalies, like they talk to themselves. They're chewing on their mouth guards hard when you're letting goals in. But be confident, and the feeling doesn't last forever.
There you go. Well, Jo, good luck in the upcoming seasons. Be fun watching you. And once again, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
All right.